At Christmas dinner, my sister stood up and announced to everyone, "I'm getting the family business. It's mine now." She looked right at me, a smug smile on her face. The whole room was in shock, but no one saw what was coming next, because her CEO boyfriend was sitting at that table, and when I stood up to speak, he made a move that changed everything. He fired her, right in front of the family. My name is Sophie Matthews, and I've always been the quiet one in my family, the one who never needed the spotlight, the one who was happy to stay behind the scenes and let my sister Cassie take the lead. Cassie, being the eldest, had always had everything handed to her, the attention, the praise, the inheritance of the family business. You name it, she had it. I had learned to deal with it, even though it always stung a little. Christmas in our family was always a big deal. Mom and Dad would go all out with the decorations, and the dinner table would be filled with laughter and chatter, as if nothing was wrong. But this Christmas, this one was going to be different. It all started when Cassie walked into the room with Evan, her boyfriend of 2 years. He was CEO of a major corporation, charming, successful, and, as far as I knew, completely captivated by my sister's beauty and confidence. The moment he stepped into the living room, the whole family couldn't help but admire him, but there was a certain coldness about him, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. It was Christmas Eve, and we were gathered at the old family dining table. The room was filled with the smell of roasted turkey, mashed potatoes, and cinnamon rolls. I had spent the whole day cooking with Mom, trying to forget the fact that this Christmas, like every year, my sister was the center of attention. We were all sitting down to eat, and then, the moment arrived. Cassie stood up, tapping her glass with her fork to get everyone's attention. She smiled, that perfect, too proud smile, the one that made everyone stop and listen. I knew something was coming, but I wasn't prepared for what she said next, so she began. "I've been talking with Evan and Mom and Dad, and I think it's time that I officially take over the family business. The company is ready for a new leader, and I'm the one who's going to take it to the next level." She paused, looking right at me. "I know I've had some practice, and I think it's only right that I take the reins." The room fell silent. Mom looked at Dad nervously, not saying a word. Evan, who had been quiet the whole time, smiled like he had just won a victory. I, on the other hand, was stunned. Cassie had always been the chosen one, but this time, she was taking it too far. Her words were like a slap to my face. The family business, the one I had helped build from the ground up, she was claiming it for herself. She had always been the golden child, but now, this was something I couldn't let slide. I stayed silent at first, unsure how to react. My heart was pounding. I had spent years working behind the scenes, doing the grunt work, helping the company grow, while Cassie got all the glory. "But no more, Cassie," I said, my voice calm but firm. "You've always had everything handed to you, but this business, it's more than just your inheritance. It's something we both built. It's something we both contributed to. You don't get to just walk in and claim it." I could feel the tension in the air as everyone went quiet. Cassie's eyes flashed with irritation, but she quickly regained her composure. "You don't understand, Sophie," she replied, her voice dripping with condescension. "I've worked for this, and it's my time now. You've had your chance." I felt my anger flare, but I held it back. But then something unexpected happened. Evan, who had been silently watching the exchange between Cassie and me, suddenly stood up. The room went completely still. His confident CEO demeanor filled the room as he adjusted his blazer. Everyone was watching him now, unsure of what was happening. "Actually," he said, his voice clear and calm, "Sophie's right." I couldn't believe my ears. My eyes locked onto his, unsure if he was joking. "I've been following the progress of the business for the last couple of months, and I have to say, I'm impressed with Sophie's work." He paused, letting the words sink in. "And I think she's the one who truly deserves to lead the company." Cassie's face went pale, and I could see her jaw tighten. "What?" she exclaimed, her voice rising. "Evan, what are you talking about? You can't be serious." But Evan didn't waver. "I'm serious, Cassie. I've been keeping track of the company's development, and while you may have the name and the position, Sophie's been the one making all the key decisions. She's the one who truly understands the business." My heart was racing. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was everything I had dreamed of, but never expected. Evan had just turned the tables on Cassie in front of everyone. "You can't fire me," Cassie snapped, standing up, furious. "This is my family's business. You don't get to make decisions for me." Evan's face was unflinching. "Actually, I do. I'm the one who's been managing the finances and the strategic plans for the company, and I believe Sophie is the better candidate." Cassie's face turned red, her eyes brimming with tears. But she held herself together. You can't just take it all away from me. I've worked for this. She screamed. Actually, Evan said, his tone now firm, I think you're done here, you're fired. Cassie, the room went dead silent. Cassie stood there, completely stunned, her mouth hanging open. She couldn't believe it, no one could. She turned to me, her eyes filled with rage. You did this, you're the one who ruined everything. But I didn't respond, my mind was spinning, my heart racing. I couldn't believe what had just happened. Cassie, the golden child, had just been fired, and by her own boyfriend. Cassie left the room in a huff, slamming the door behind her. The silence that followed was deafening, no one knew what to say. Mom and Dad just stared at each other, unable to process what had happened. I felt a strange sense of relief and guilt. It was a mixture of victory and betrayal. Cassie had been my rival for years, but I never thought it would end this way. Evan turned to me, his expression softening. Sophie, I hope you understand that this wasn't personal. You've earned this. I nodded slowly, still in shock. Thank you, Evan. I never expected this to happen. As I sat there, the weight of everything slowly settled in. The business, my future, Cassie's downfall. Everything had changed. In an instant, that night, after everything had calmed down, I sat down with Evan. Why did you do it? I asked. Why did you choose me over her? He smiled gently. Because you're the one who's been doing the work. Cassie's always had everything handed to her. But you've earned every step. I smiled back, a sense of calm washing over me. The following weeks were strange. Cassie refused to speak to me, and our relationship remained strained. But in the end, I had what I'd always wanted, the company, the respect, and the recognition I deserved. I stood in my new office one day, looking out over the city skyline. The view was breathtaking. I had worked hard for this moment, and I knew this was just the beginning. The revenge was bittersweet, but it was also justice. I had earned my place, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I truly belonged.